What would you do if your child's last wish felt impossible? When a mother wrote a desperate letter to Donald Trump, she never expected what happened next. What followed was a moment so powerful, it would leave the entire nation speechless. Sarah held Liam's frail hand as he lay in the hospital bed, his small chest rising and falling with labored breaths. At just 9 years old, Liam had fought harder than most people do in a lifetime. His rare illness had robbed him of a normal childhood, but it had never taken his spirit. "Mom," Liam whispered, his voice barely audible. "Do you think he'd come see me? Just once?" Sarah blinked back tears. She knew who Liam meant. Donald Trump. For reasons only her son could explain, Liam had always admired the man, not for his wealth or fame, but for his unshakable determination. "He's a fighter, just like me," Liam would say. That night, as Liam drifted to sleep, Sarah made a decision. She sat at the small desk in the corner of the hospital room and began to write. It wasn't easy. How could she ask for something so big, so unlikely? But with every word, her desperation grew. This wasn't just about a letter. It was about giving her son a reason to smile in his darkest days. When she finished, she folded the letter carefully, addressed it to Trump Tower, and prayed. She never imagined what would happen next. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah had almost given up hope. Surely someone as busy and important as Donald Trump wouldn't have the time to read a letter from an ordinary woman like her. But then, something unexpected happened. It was a cold January morning when Sarah's phone rang. She glanced at the screen, expecting another call from the hospital staff, but the number was unfamiliar. Hesitant, she picked up. "Hello, this is Donald Trump's office," said a voice on the other end. "Is this Mrs. Sarah Walker?" Sarah's heart stopped. She gripped the phone tighter, unsure if this was real. Yes, this is Sarah," she stammered. "I'm calling about the letter you sent. Mr. Trump read it personally, and he was deeply moved. He'd like to meet Liam." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she struggled to find the words. He read it?" she whispered. "Yes, ma'am. He was very touched by your son's story. We'd like to arrange a visit as soon as possible." The next few days felt like a dream. The hospital staff worked tirelessly to prepare for the visit. Nurses decorated Liam's room with balloons and banners, and his doctors ensured everything was ready. Despite his exhaustion, Liam's eyes lit up with excitement every time someone mentioned the visit. On the day of the meeting, Liam clutched the picture of Trump that he'd kept by his bedside for months. "Do you think he'll really come, Mom?" he asked, his voice trembling with a mix of hope and disbelief. Sarah knelt beside him, stroking his hair gently. "I know he will, sweetheart. He wouldn't let you down." And then, at exactly 3 p.m., the doors to the hospital wing opened, and in walked Donald Trump himself. The room fell silent as Donald Trump entered, flanked by his security detail. But despite the grandeur of his arrival, his expression was soft, almost fatherly, as he approached Liam's bed. "Liam," Trump said, his voice warm and steady, "I've heard a lot about you. I hear you're one of the strongest kids out there." Liam's eyes widened as he struggled to sit up. You're really here," he whispered, clutching the picture he'd been holding. Trump knelt down so he was eye level with the boy. "Of course I'm here. I had to meet the brave young man who inspires everyone around him." He reached out and shook Liam's small hand. "You're a fighter just like me, and fighters never quit, right?" Liam nodded, a faint smile spreading across his face. "Never," he said, his voice barely audible but filled with conviction. For the next hour, Trump sat by Liam's bedside, talking to him as if they were old friends. Liam asked him about his favorite moments, his challenges, and how he stayed strong when times were tough. Trump answered every question, sharing stories of perseverance and offering words of encouragement. "You know," Trump said at one point, leaning in closer, "people like us, we don't let anything stop us. Even when it seems impossible, we find a way." Liam's eyes sparkled as he listened. For the first time in weeks, his pain seemed to fade, replaced by something much stronger: hope. Before leaving, Trump reached into his pocket and pulled out a small golden pin shaped like an eagle. "This," he said, "is my lucky pin. I want you to have it. Every time you look at it, remember that you're unstoppable." Liam held the pin tightly in his hand, his eyes filling with tears. "Thank you, Mr. Trump," he whispered. "This is the best day of my life." Trump placed a hand on Liam's shoulder. "The pleasure is mine, Liam. You've reminded me what true strength looks like." As Trump stood to leave, he turned to Sarah and said something that left her speechless. "I'll be back. And when I come back, I'm bringing something that will change everything for Liam." Sarah stood frozen, watching as Donald Trump walked out of the room. His parting words echoed in her mind. "I'll be back, and when I come back, I'm bringing something that will change everything for Liam." She had no idea what he meant, but a glimmer of hope lit up the darkness that had surrounded her for so long. Liam, too, couldn't stop smiling. He held the golden pin tightly in his hand, refusing to let it go even as he drifted off to sleep later that night. For the first time in weeks, he looked truly at peace. The next morning, the hospital was buzzing with activity again. Rumors swirled among the staff and patients. Some said Trump had arranged for Liam to meet his favorite celebrities, while others speculated about a donation to the hospital. But Sarah stayed quiet, clinging to the hope that whatever Trump had planned would bring joy to her son. 3 days later, just as Liam was waking up from an afternoon nap, the hospital room door swung open. This time there was no grand entourage or flashing cameras. It was just Donald Trump, holding a large, beautifully wrapped box in his hands. "Liam," Trump said, his voice booming with excitement. "I told you I'd be back, didn't I?" Liam's eyes lit up as he struggled to sit up. "You came back." Trump smiled and set the box on the table beside the bed. "Of course I did. I never break a promise, and I brought you something very special." With trembling hands, Liam reached for the box and carefully pulled at the ribbon. Inside, he found a custom-made laptop with a golden plaque engraved with his name. But it wasn't just any laptop. It was loaded with special software that allowed Liam to connect with other kids battling illnesses around the world. "I wanted to give you a way to share your strength with others," Trump said. "You're not just a fighter, Liam. You're an inspiration. Now you can help others stay strong, just like you." Liam's jaw dropped as he stared at the laptop. "You mean I can talk to other kids like me?" Trump nodded. "Exactly. You can share your story, your courage, and remind them that they're not alone. You're going to make a difference, Liam. I know it." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she watched her son's joy. Liam, who had been so fragile and quiet for weeks, now looked full of life again. But Trump wasn't done yet. He turned to Sarah and said, "There's one more thing." Sarah's heart raced as she looked at Donald Trump, wondering what he could possibly say next. His expression softened and his voice grew gentle as he continued. "I've spoken with the hospital administrators," Trump said. "In honor of Liam and every child who's battling illnesses like his, I'm funding a brand new pediatric wing right here in this hospital. It will be state-of-the-art, with everything these kids need to fight and heal." The room went silent, save for the quiet hum of Liam's monitors. Sarah clasped her hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "Mr. Trump, I don't even know what to say," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything," Trump replied, his tone warm but firm. "Liam has already said it all. His strength, his courage, it's inspired me, and it will inspire countless others. This is just the beginning." Liam looked up at Trump, his small voice breaking the silence. "You're building it for kids like me?" Trump smiled and knelt down to meet Liam's eyes. "Yes, Liam, kids like you deserve every chance to fight, to hope, and to dream. This wing will carry your name. It's going to be called the Liam Walker Pediatric Center." Liam's face lit up with a smile so bright it seemed to fill the entire room. I don't know how to thank you," he whispered. Trump patted Liam's shoulder gently. "You don't need to thank me, Liam. Just promise me one thing. Keep inspiring people. Keep being the fighter you are." As the news of Trump's generosity spread, the hospital staff and patients began to gather outside Liam's room, clapping and cheering. For the first time in what felt like forever, hope and joy filled the air. But the most emotional moment came when Trump handed Liam one last gift. A letter, handwritten and signed personally by him. "Open this when you're ready," Trump said. "It's just a little something to remind you how much you've taught me." Sarah watched as Liam hugged Trump with all the strength he could muster. It was a moment she would never forget. A moment that reminded her that even in the darkest times, miracles could happen. But there was still more to come, something no one could have predicted. 2 weeks later, Liam's condition began to worsen. The doctors had warned Sarah that this day would come, but nothing could prepare her for the inevitable. Liam, though frail and tired, held on to the golden pin Trump had given him and the letter he still hadn't opened. One evening, as the sun set and cast a warm glow over the hospital room, Liam looked at his mother and smiled weakly. "Mom, can you read me the letter? I think I'm ready now." Sarah's hands trembled as she unfolded the crisp paper. Trump's bold handwriting filled the page, and she read aloud, "Dear Liam, you are one of the strongest and most inspiring people I've ever met. Your courage reminds me that life isn't about wealth or power. It's about using what we have to make the world better. You've shown me what true strength looks like, and I'll carry your story with me always. This world needs more fighters like you, and I promise your legacy will live on. The Liam Walker Pediatric Center will be a place where hope never fades, just like the hope you've given me. Thank you for teaching me, for inspiring me, and for being the amazing person you are. With great respect and admiration, Donald J. Trump." Liam smiled as his eyes closed, his hand resting on the letter. "Mom, do you think I inspired him?" he asked softly. Sarah choked back tears, stroking his hair gently. "Oh, sweetheart, you've inspired all of us, more than you'll ever know." Later that night, as the stars blanketed the sky, Liam passed away peacefully in his sleep. He left the world quietly, but left behind a legacy that would echo forever. Weeks after Liam's passing, the hospital unveiled the Liam Walker Pediatric Center. Families gathered, tears in their eyes, as Donald Trump himself cut the ribbon and spoke about the boy who had touched his heart. "Liam may no longer be with us," Trump said to the crowd, his voice thick with emotion, "but his spirit lives on in every child who will walk through these doors. He reminded me of the power of hope, and I will never forget him." Inside the new wing, a plaque was mounted on the wall. It read, "In loving memory of Liam Walker, a true fighter who showed us the power of hope." And so Liam's story didn't end in that hospital room. It continued in the laughter of the children who would be treated there, in the hope of parents who would cling to the belief that miracles could happen, and in the heart of a man who learned the true meaning of strength from a little boy who never gave up. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tales that inspire and resonate. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.